ESPN released what they called their top 100 athletes since 2000. Sort of this generation's, the last 25 years. Who are the top 100 athletes? Here is their list. This is their top 8. You can see Tiger Woods at the bottom there. Simone Biles, obviously competing in the Olympics right now. Michael Phelps, another Olympian. Leo Messi, famous soccer player. LeBron James, et cetera, names we all recognize. To the right there are the only golfers in the entirety of the top 100. They have Tiger at 8, Phil at 68, Annika Sorenstam at 80, and they have Rory McIlroy coming in at 93rd. And it got me thinking, Matt, when I saw this list.
Why would Annika be 80 when she has more wins and more majors than Phil? I'm not taking away from Phil being on the list, but I don't know. What I'm saying is, why would Annika be so high?
I've got no idea the criteria that ESPN used or how they defined these people on this list, because you've got individuals, you've got members of teams like LeBron and Tom Brady, and then you've got people like Roger Federer who are competing completely by themselves. It's just it's hard to compare and contrast without question. However, what it made me think about, because I only think in golf, everything I do is in golf, I thought to myself, interesting. I wonder who the best golfers are since 2000. And then I thought, if we're going to have a line of demarcation, it might as well be Tiger. So I thought, you know what? That needs to be 97. Because in 1997 is when he sort of broke through. He won the Masters and everything changed in golf forever from 1997 and on.
Hold on
I thought to myself,
hey, I like all this. We'll pick up on it. I want to go back to Annika for a second.
Okay.
70. Tom's like, here we are.
You want to talk about her name? Let's do the phonetic name of Annika.
Hey, listen, Scaraffle. Don't make us slow you down in the slow motion. Annika's had 72 wins on the LPGA. That's third all time. 72. And 10 major championship wins. Right? Phil has had 6 and 45, if I'm not mistaken, or is it 46?
I believe it's 45. No, I think it's 46. Hold on. I'll answer that question in seconds from now. And the answer to that question is 45. 45 PGA Tour wins in his career.
Okay, 45.
But some of those took place before 1997, as you're going way off the tracks already. Haven't even shown anything, but okay.
Well, you're showing us the ESPN list, which is not based, it's from 2000.
Since 2000, correct.
Since 2000.
That's their definition, yes.
Which would make the wins, it wouldn't affect Phil's major championship wins, but it would affect his total wins. Correct, it would not adversely impact the information I just gave you from Annika Sorenstam. So what I'm saying is, why would she be ranked 80th and Phil is 68th? I don't get that. There's only four golfers on the list. When you got somebody that's won 72 times compared to 45 and 10 compared to 6. The only thing that I can imagine somebody coming up with, which I reject, is them saying, well, she was competing on the LPGA and he's competing on the PGA Tour. How can we compare those two? Because you compete against who you compete against.
So, for whatever it's worth, this is how ESPN contextualized their list. Voters were instructed to consider, as a quote, voters were instructed to consider only an athlete's performance since 2000. And then they gave some examples. That's it. That was their barometer. So with that as context, I changed it because I wanted to talk just about golf. I changed it to 1997 with that line of demarcation being Tiger Woods and thought to myself, all right, who's the best golfer? I don't know if you want to say this generation, like last 25 years plus, but since Tiger burst on the scene, who are the best 10 golfers ever? And I put together, we have a couple graphics for you, but this is one of them. And I think everybody agree. Everyone watching right now will agree. It's impossible not to agree. Tiger Woods, far and away, quite clearly number one.
All right, so this is the best men's golfer since 1997.
Correct. Now, keep in mind,
I don't think anyone argues with the first two.
So Phil is 45 wins, we just talked about, but only 36 of them came since 1997. Now, all of his majors came after that date, so that's why they're listed there. But I think very quickly, Matt, to go past the Tiger, because Tiger is quite clearly number one, one of the reasons I wanted to discuss this is Matt and I were actually arguing quite a bit. We can barely get past number 3 on this list. It's very hard, especially if you throw in a few other kinks and some other graphics that we have to get. I mean, I think Phil is probably a solid number 2, but it depends how heavily you weight the major championships. It depends how heavily you weight longevity and consistency. Like Rory McIlroy with 25 wins, he has even more than that if you consider his European Tour wins, and he's been doing it since he burst on the scene in the mid 2000s. Pretty much
you should
every
consider
year he's winning.
all wins. I mean, when you look at to me, we're talking about criteria that's just wins, correct? Just wins. You're not talking about impact on the game. You're not talking about anything that's outside the ropes. We're talking about wins, correct?
Performance.
Performance. Right. All right.
Performance.
Fine. All right. Fine. If you want to, because now maybe that.
Well,
takes
if you have
performance.
150 second place finishes and 50 wins, that's pretty good performance. So
okay,
it's the
if that's included. But what I'm saying is that the hierarchy of wins in the game of golf, to me, is black and white. Number one are the majors. That's it. Far and away, number one are the majors. And since 1997, it may get a little bit gray in terms of opinions of how you weigh, say, a win on Live versus a PGA Tour. But since 1997, because there's a longer period of time, number 2 is PGA Tour wins. So you go majors, PGA Tour. I don't know where to put Live wins yet in the balance. I'd be curious what people say. So would you put a Live win above a DP World Tour, formerly called the European Tour? If not, then the European Tour's third. Right? Do you include performances in international team competition or, say, Olympics, Ryder Cup? Does that matter? And how do you judge it? By individual records, or do you do it by team performance? Right? So let's just say, what? Did you say something?
Me? Of course you got to include team. Yes, of course you got to include team performance. I'm not saying it. I don't know how it's weighted, but of course it gets. Of course.
Okay. But what I'm just trying to get a sense
order
of
of merit wins.
I'm trying to get a sense of this.
Stuff.
If you're trying to build a top 10, if Andrew Rafel is going to put together, if he's going to start typing a list, top 10, I think we all would agree that number 1 is Tiger, number 2 is Phil. Now we have 8 more spots to fill, and the questions start to roll. So go ahead and put that list up there again. And Dom, I am going to ask you because I think all wins need to be considered. So if we're talking about number 3, on your list, you have 31 wins by Vijay Singh and 3 major championships. How many non-duplicate credit victories does he have on what was then called European Tour?
He has 3 additional European Tour wins. He also has 4 additional Asian Tour wins.
I didn't talk. I didn't. Hold on a second.
5
Let's be consistent
Tour
here.
Wins.
I didn't talk about the Asian Tour because I didn't put it in that hierarchy. It's going to be somewhere below, right? So for this discussion,
Yeah, but
we were
4 wins on the Asian Tour has got to be worth a half a win or something like that. And if all the Champions events are also a half a win, That's 9 additional wins globally.
When
So
you say
that's
half a
worth
win,
something.
you're trying to put together a formula that weighs victories someplace else, and how do they compare to a PGA Tour?
I'm not trying to do anything. I'm just having a conversation.
Well, what I'm asking is because Colin Montgomery said a major is 8 wins, and all of a sudden that became a standard, right? We were talking about it yesterday.
Do you think that's fair? 8 wins for a major?
God, that could be your question of the day right there.
Well, my question of the day.
Did you do
I'm
one?
glad you asked. Well, I'm very on top of things today. After Tiger and Phil, who is the best golfer since 1997? Brooks Koepka, Roy McIlroy, Vijay Singh, or write-in? As a write-in. I got to have a write-in option. And it's split, Matt. 21% wrote in, and I've got, people were writing Bryson and some other things, and someone wrote VJ, or not VJ, it was, hold on, let me find it. There was another name that was sticking out to me that someone said, there's a lot of stuff coming through. We appreciate it. Ernie Els. Someone wrote in Ernie Els. Vijay Singh has got 14%. Rory McIlroy is actually the clubhouse leader right now, 34%. And Brooks Koepka is at 31%. That's interesting that Brooks Koepka is so high on that list. 34% and 31%. Brooks Koepka has obviously 5 major championships, of course. Yeah. But globally, in terms of his number of, just winning golf tournaments, he's not won very many golf tournaments. He's just basically won majors. And the weight of that is interesting to me. If he's got, you've got Rory on our list, he has got 25 wins. Those are PGA Tour wins. He has additional wins
you can take it, Andrew.
On the European Tour. And there's a lot more of them. So he's over 30 wins where Rory is. And he
but
has
again,
4 majors.
when we say European Tour wins, we're netting out the wins that have already been counted that they're co-sanctioned, whether we're talking about World Golf Championships, Scottish Open, majors, etc. So we net it down to those wins that are independent of that. And Rory came up to what?
Correct.
What was his number?
2, 3, 4, 8, 9. So he has 9 European.
So Rory has 34 qualifying wins and 4 majors. Not and 4 majors. Those 4 majors are included in the 34.
So where do you put VJ?
See, VJ at 31, and then he had 3 more qualifying outside of it if you did DP World Tour. I'm not counting the Asian yet because I don't know where to put him. So that would be 34. They'd have the same number of total wins.
Well, what about the Champions Tour wins and the Champions Tour major? That doesn't
I don't know how to again. I'd put that in the same class as Asian Tour. I don't know how to judge that. Do you view, for example, if you want to throw everything asunder here, how do you judge Bernhard Langer, who won 12 Champs Tour majors?
So this is how, ironically, this is how I started my conversation with Matt this morning. I said to Matt, I think Bernhard Langer needs to be number 10 on this list of performance since 1997 professional golfers. And the reason I say that is he redefined performance for a senior golfer. He, in that entire span, he's won 46 times on the Champions Tour. He broke the all-time wins record. He's got 12 majors on the Champions Tour. He also, by the way, won a few European Tour events still since 97 that you could throw in there if you wanted to. But I think if you're talking about performance inside the ropes, you're talking about performance on the golf course, his performance has been insane. Now, given it's not PGA Tour wins, it's not major championships like you're defining them, but for a senior citizen, he's redefined what it means to play golf when you're, quote unquote, past your prime. And I think he's reset the dial. I think now when you look at players like Padraig Harrington and Steve Stricker, who are going on to play the Champions Tour and starting up when they're 50, 51, 52, Stewart Cink, they're saying to themselves, you know what, maybe I can do this for another 15 years. That's because of Bernhard Langer and what he's done. So I actually think he should be number 10 on that list with what he's done. Maybe you disagree, but I still think it's worth talking about.
I don't know if I disagree. Again, it all comes down to, all of this conversation comes down to this. How do you find a standard? So you could do it. You could do a judgment like this. And again, I default back to Montgomery because I don't know anybody else that ever gave us a number. And if he said, yeah, major's worth 8 wins. Okay. What's a senior major worth? If Bernhard Langer's won 12 senior majors, is that 4 PGA Tour wins? I don't know how to judge it. I don't know what you call that. What are the people saying, Don? Well, let's get some guidance from the best in the world.
All right. 33% Roy McIlroy, 30% Brooks Koepka is moving around there. 17% now Vijay Singh. Still got folks writing in. Some of these people are responding to the ESPN survey. Annika should be equal to Serena. I agree. That's ridiculous. I actually picked Rory because of his FedEx Cup and European Tour Order of Merit wins.
He's what? He's won the FedEx Cup 3 times, the race to Dubai, 5 times?
Let me confirm that. But yes, I believe that's correct. FedEx Cup 16, 19, 22. European race to Dubai, as you call it. That's their FedEx Cup. 12, 14, 15, 22, 23. So that was 5 times. Yes, correct. And it's even more insane when you look at 2022 when he won both of them. That's crazy.
And he's done that multiple times too.
That's insane. All right. 4 majors, 3 FedEx Cups, 5 European Tour Order of Merits. That's got to be Rory. So it's interesting. Everyone's putting Rory almost locked into that 3rd spot. We're getting a lot of people locking Rory into the 3rd spot.
Even though Rory is one less major than Brooks.
Yes. Well, that's what they're saying.
Because of the weight of everything else.
What I'm saying is it's really interesting when you consider, I would say the last 12 months with everything that's been going on in golf, I feel like Rory's been taking a lot of flack in the last 12 months. And he's been looked at, there's been a negative lens sort of around him. And that's interesting if we're considering what we're talking about now. ESPN's list is ridiculous. Michaela Schifrin isn't even on the list. That's a very famous United States skier who's got hundreds of wins and broke every record that exists. It's interesting. This whole thing is interesting. I mean, are you?
I definitely think. I mean, it's a separate conversation to judge the ESPN list because I haven't seen it in its entirety. But they definitely messed up Annika. That makes no sense to me. The only thing that I can imagine there is a gender bias. That's the only thing that I can see as to why she would be placed where she is, because otherwise it makes no sense.
It's very difficult to judge the performance of a team sport versus an individual sport. So it's very hard to say Roger Federer is better or Leo Messi is better. It's just so different.
You know, because we're in the Olympics right now, in the middle of the Olympics right now, one good way to judge an athlete that rises above is if they have something named after them. Right? Simone's got moves named after her. Tiger's got the Tiger Slam. I bet we could keep going through the list and you could come up with stuff that these different star athletes have. There's another way to judge
Probably.
them. There's the first name judge.
Yeah. Yeah, the first name judge matters. Like Serena, Messi, LeBron. Everybody knows who you're talking about.
Well, you did one.
I mean, it is insane. It is insane to think about. You just say a person's first name. Think about how many first names there are. There's probably
if you were having a heated debate, you're in some pub someplace having a heated debate about
one person.
Right, you're having a heated debate about basketball, and you say the tops of all time was Michael. Nobody would say Michael who, right? It just doesn't happen. Even though Michael's a very common name, you're like, no, Michael was the man.
Andrew, go back to our list. So if we're settling on Rory for
yeah, all right,
I am looking for focus. Right. We're settling on Rory for 3.
Scaraffle.
So
if we put Rory 3, then
so now is it Vijay or Brooks?
Right. That's what I was just going to get. You took the words out of my mouth. And you've got Vijay with, we said, 34 qualifying wins. That's 31 on the PGA Tour, and then
he's at 16% in my question of the day, by the way. And Brooks is at 29%. You want to give the people that? So let the people say it's Brooks. So it's Brooks.
What was it? What's the number? What do they say?
Brooks is 29%. and VJ's at 16%. So the people are saying by almost not quite, but not quite.
Dom, let's be
double,
fair
they're
about
saying,
something
look,
here.
It's Brooks.
And that could be the way to go because he has 5 majors to 3. But let's be fair about something here. You haven't told us what Brooks has and wins outside of the 5. I know he's a multiple-time winner on the PGA Tour. I know that he cut his teeth on the Challenge Tour, which I'm not counting for my purposes right now. But what he did with qualifying events that aren't double counted on the European Tour, now called the DP World Tour.
He won one other event on the European Tour that would count towards this, so that's one more win. He won 4 times on the Challenge Tour. I don't know if you count that.
I'm not.
And he's now won 4 times on Live Golf Tour. Again, I don't know where you qualify that. And technically speaking, he has 9 PGA Tour wins.
Minus
so if you
want
to add the European Tour event, that's...
Well, you got to minus the 5 from the 9 because you've already counted that as 5 majors. So he has total wins. He has 13, 14 plus Live. He said, how many did you say has it Live? 4?
He has 4 Live Tour wins.
Okay, so if you counted them, that'd be 18. Andrew, put up your graphic again. Again, I'm not sure. You guys tell me where you want me to count or where you want his account Live. Is it counted the same? Now, it's to get past the top of those fields, it's a bar fight. So that would put him 18 against VJ's 31, but he has 2 more major championships. And we were talking about this yesterday. Even if you looked at the differential of 2 more major championships, there's not 90 humans that have ever lived that have more than 2 or more major championships. VJ happens to be amongst that number, but he's not at 5. I think the people have it right.
Well, there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 20 people on the planet Earth that have 5 or more majors, and Brooks is one of them.
Yeah.
And that's ever in the history of the world. And we're talking about just since 97. I don't know. I feel like Brooks is a pretty solid 4 now.
It comes down to how you judge. I mean, if you did it based on the Montgomery doctrine, that would be he would have 40 wins.
Extra 16 wins.
No, he'd have 40 wins because each of those 5 each one of those 5 is times 8. So we'd have 40 right there. Plus, you came up with another, how many? 18 was it? Outside of that? No, you gotta net the majors out of it. So it'd be 13. He'd have 53.
4 Live. 1. That's 5 plus. I think it'd be something like that.
And VJ would be at 34 minus his 3 majors would be 31 plus 24 would be 55. So if you're using the strict standard of what I'm calling the Montgomery doctrine, VJ would have 55 wins to Brooks's 53. That's why this is so hard.
No, Brooks, no. I think we did the math wrong. Brooks would have 49 wins. I mean, unless you're counting Challenge Tour wins and Japan Golf Tour wins.
No, all I did was I took 18 minus his wins. I took out his majors. That would leave you with 13. 13 plus 40 is 53.
No, because he has 4 Live Golf, 1 DP World Tour. That's 5, and he has 4 PGA Tour wins. That's 9. So outside of the majors, he has 9 wins.
Oh, okay. So it was less than what I thought. So that makes it even
it'd be
more
49.
That makes VJ even more separated based upon that criteria. But again, because majors are the highest standard of the game, I'm not saying anybody's wrong. What are the numbers changing while we're talking at all?
They are changing. For me, it's Brooks at 4, they're saying. Brooks is 31%, VJ is 16%. It's creeping towards double. So we're going to call Brooks 4, which puts VJ solidly at 5. Andrew,
Does
make
it
a
put him
mini
solidly
graphic
at
so we
5?
can
Put
keep
our
track here.
graphic up there again. Let's find out if there's anybody else.
Rory? No. Rory is 3. Brooks is 4. VJ 5 right now.
Yeah.
That's where we're at.
And we're trying to come up with a number to say, okay, since 1997, how and where do you put everybody?
Well, here's where it gets complicated. If we've gotten through our top 5, this is where it gets dicey and fun and confusing. I think the next 4 names in contention for number 6 are Padraig Harrington, Jordan Spieth, Ernie Els, and Dustin Johnson. All of them have more than 2 majors, or they have 2 or more majors, I should say, and all of them have double-digit wins. Now, Padraig Harrington's wins. Andrew, you can put that other graphic up that's got Padraig's info on it, because Padraig's info is a little bit mucked about. So you can see there, he had 14 wins on the DP World Tour, but 15 total, 14 during 1997 and on. But he's also got 8 Champions Tour wins. He's got 3 PGA Tour wins. He's got double-digit global wins.
But
and he has
wait a minute. Now,
3 majors.
We got to make sure we qualify this. His 3 PGA Tour wins are his 3 majors, are they not?
No. Incorrect.
He has 3 wins outside the major.
Barclays. The Honda twice and the Barclays.
Okay.
So that's 3 additional
that
PGA
counts
Tour
then.
wins.
The 14
Yes.
European Tour wins, how many of them are counting double? So we
the
net
3
that
majors.
down. How many? What? So it's 11.
Just
All right.
the 3 majors. So it's 11.
So he has 11 that qualify from the European Tour, 3 additional that qualify from the PGA Tour. That's 14 if, for argument's sake, we're weighing the European Tour the same as the PGA Tour, which some people would have an issue with in terms of depth of field. But for the discussion purposes, that'd be 14. And then we haven't decided what we're going to do with Champs Tour.
I think
that
a
should
half
count
a
at all.
win is. I think it should count. I mean, I think Bernhard Langer should be 10 on this list. So I think it should count. So call it a half a win. So he's got 8 Champs wins. That's 4 additional wins.
Well, how many of
Global
those
wins.
8 Champs wins are majors?
1.
And do you count a
You wanna count
senior
that as a
major
regular
as
win?
1 PGA Tour win?
Fine. I'm comfortable with that.
That'd be
So
9
that's
or 8.5. No, 8.5.
no, it'd be 5 wins. 8 Champs wins would be 4. Champs majors is 5. Plus what did you have? 14? We suck at
I
math.
had 14.
So
I had 14.
he's got like 19, 20, wins, global wins,
All
and
right, so
3
I'll
major
give him
championships.
credit for 19. Let's keep this going as we're trying to figure this out. This is not easy to do because you're making a judgment
No,
as
it's not. It's not. You've got, so Andrew, put up the not our list, the list of wins. Yeah. So Dustin Johnson's at 24, and he's got 2 majors. He only has 2 European Tour wins that would be additional, and he's got 3 live wins. So he has 5 additional wins, depending on how you weight
that
them.
qualify. They're not not double counting.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
So he'd be 29 and
So
2.
he's got.
Padraig
he'd
would
have,
be
like-
19 and 3.
Yeah, I mean, but again, in that 24, you count as majors. So if you're subtracting majors from wins and counting them separate, then he's got something like 28 wins and 2 majors.
Would be 27 if that's the case. 27 and 2 versus 19 and 3. And then Jordan
That's
has
hard.
13 wins on the PGA Tour. And how many of those are double counted does he have any European Tour wins independently? I can't think of any.
He won. Is the Australian Open co-sanctioned?
It's co-sanctioned with the European Tour.
He won that twice.
That's a big deal. So that would be wins that would count. So he would be up to 15 minus his 3 majors, he would be 12.
So he has 12 wins in
and
3
3.
majors.
So in that criteria, go back to our master list here now, Andrew. So under that criteria, Dustin Johnson would be number 6.
You comfortable with that? Wait a second. We didn't do Padraig Harrington, did we?
Yeah, 19 and 3. And that would mean that, well, the one we didn't do is Ernie. Let's do Ernie.
Ernie has, go back to the other list, Andrew, because some of his wins took place before 97.
Okay.
So Ernie has 16 wins. And remember, one of Ernie's, actually that changes things. One of Ernie's majors took place before 97.
All right. That's your
Which is
criteria.
why he's not in the major list.
That's the parameters you set. So what's his net?
So his net is that number there, 16, and that includes only 2 of his 3 majors.
And does that include any European Tour wins? Because he was an international player down in Australia, anything? Co-sanctioned.
No, but he's got a lot. He's got 22 major, 22 minus 3. He has 19 additional wins on the DP World Tour.
19 additional?
Yeah. 19 additional wins.
Okay.
That's a lot.
That is.
So that's
obviously.
35?
So if you did that, he has 4 major. So he's going to replace. He's obviously going to replace DJ. Ernie's next, because he has 4 majors. Oh no!
Yeah, but one of the majors doesn't count.
I got it. I forgot that. Why didn't you have him on your list?
I mean, it counts, but why is what?
You have VJ, Padraig, Jordan. You don't even have Ernie up there.
Oh, yeah, that's a mistake. Ernie's supposed to be under Jordan. That's fine.
All right.
So Ernie's got 3 that took place
wins,
after 97.
And then what'd you
3
say?
majors.
35 qualifying victories outside of his majors?
Yeah, I think so.
And that doesn't count whatever he's done. I know he just broke through in the Champs Tour, whatever. But
correct.
So yeah, I would
Do you
say
think it's Ernie?
I think we go back to the master list there. And to me, Ernie would
Ernie
be,
and then Dustin,
and then DJ, and then it comes down to the battle of I haven't decided on Bernhard at number 10. We'll go through the math for him too. What are the people saying, Dom? People agree with this yet?
Well, they're saying, guys, can you stick in order? We're jumping around now. Ernie has 4 majors. I know he has 4, but we're trying to stick to 1997 and after, and his first major was in like 93 or 94. DJ is 5th for me. Where do we put DJ? 7th. Interesting. Man, Andrew needs some beers after this. You guys owe him some beers. That's probably true. All right, let's see. 30% Brooks, 30% Rory. VJ's at 15%. Where are you guys going to put Langer in all this? Question mark, they're saying. And then there's still some guys arguing about disliking the ESPN list because the way they structured it.
What about
all right, go back to the other list, Andrew. So we only have a couple names left. After Dustin and Ernie, so I think it's probably either Jordan Spieth or Padraig Harrington, correct? Because of the weight of majors? That's what's left.
Yeah, which would be Padraig Harrington because the weight of he's older and the weight of his entirety of his career with wins. Because Padraig, I believe we had him at 27-2, and Jordan's 13-3.
No, Padraig. I think all 3 of Padraig's happened in the 2000s, so he's got 3 majors.
Oh, 3. I'm sorry, I forgot it wasn't before it.
So put Padraig next on the list, Andrew, and then put Jordan Spieth. And then there you go. That's our list. Now you
If-
just have to
if
we just have
Bernhard
to
is
argue
10.
about Bernhard at the end there.
Well,
Well,
let's
I
do the
think he
math.
should be.
Let's do the math on Bernhard. He's two-time major champion.
Yeah.
How many? I mean, his European Tour wins are out of this world. He's like, I think, 5th all time, if memory serves me, in European Tour wins.
He's second.
2nd, even better.
But his majors happen in like the 85 and 93. They don't count.
Oh, okay.
The only thing that counts is
All
his
right, then.
senior tour career.
Okay.
So 46, if it's a half a win, is what is that? 23 wins. And if the majors count as a regular win,
He's got 12.
he's got 12.
So,
Although you have to take the 12 out of the 46, right? Yeah, you do. Hold on.
Yep. Come on.
46 minus 12. So 34 divided by 2. So 17 plus 12 is 29. So his number would be 29 wins. That would be with no majors, quote unquote. Go back to the other list, Andrew. The big boy list. There you go. So if he's at 29, right? Now who are we arguing about here? You've got Justin Thomas, Furyk, Scott, all these guys that have half as many wins, but they do have more majors in that space of time. Because after 97, you've got a pile of guys with 2 majors. And you can even see there on the bottom, JT Rahm, Bryson, Xander. Now you're talking about the current active players that are impacting the sport. But none of them have 29 equivalent worldwide wins.
We don't have anybody in the game right now that's prolific at winning, but not majors. We don't have a current Colin Montgomery, for example. Right?
Not really. I think the closest person to that would probably be Matt Kuchar, maybe? What does he have, 11 wins? Let me look that up. I mean, not that he should be anywhere near this list. I'm just saying.
14, if memory serves me.
He has only 9 PGA Tour wins.
Wrong, then.
Yeah. One on the Nationwide Tour. He won a bunch of silly season events. He won a Japan Tour event. So he has 18 professional wins, but no majors. Whatever. It doesn't matter. So where do you stand when you're comparing like Justin Thomas with 15, 16? He probably has a couple wins in Europe because he's played in a few events like some of the Saudi international events. So he has, say, 16, 17 wins, but he has 2 majors. How do you compare that if I'm arguing for Bernhard Langer, who's got,
how
by our
many,
numbers, 20-something wins?
How many wins does JT have? 15. And 2 majors. To me, that would put him in front of
players.
Bernhard. Sorry.
I don't know what the players count for something. We didn't
Right.
talk about that, but yeah.
But to me, that would put him in front of. I love Bernhard, but when you're talking about someone with multiple major championships and a stout record of wins with 15. Now, maybe the argument would open up and go, okay, well, if you're going to do that comparison, let's compare players with 2 majors and how many total wins. Like you said earlier, somebody said Bryson. I'm not opposed to. We're not talking about this list in a year from now, or 2 years, or 5 years, or 10 years from now. We're talking about it right now, and Bryson just doesn't have enough total wins yet because he's in that category with all these other guys.
9 wins, 9 PGA Tour wins. Take out the U.S. Opens. You've got 7 Tour wins, 8 is a European Tour win, and 2 live events. So he's got 10 wins and 2 majors. That's what Bryson's at right now. Jon Rahm's at 9 PGA Tour wins and 8 European Tour wins. So that's 17 wins and 2 majors. And he just got a live win. So that's 18 wins and 2 majors. So that puts him above Bryson immediately.
Scotty
Scheffler?
He's got 6 this year. Of course,
He
one
does,
of those is the
but
major,
I
which
don't
would net
think he
be
has
5.
collectively that many.
Yeah, because he just started winning It's like
he's a lot younger than people think he is.
Yeah, he's in his late 20s, but he took off like a comet.
He has 10. Yeah, he has 10 PGA Tour wins and 2 majors.
So it'd be 8-2. So he's going to be the same thing as Bryson. It's like it's not about what it could be, it's about what it is. And that's going to be the same thing for Shuffle. Lee.
What about Adam Scott? How do we feel about that?
Now you're getting into...
He's got a lot of worldwide wins.
Yeah, but now you're getting into guys with one... here's another discussion. Who do you think is going to get into the World Golf Hall of Fame? Totally different direction. Dom's going to have a heart attack that I said this. Adam Scott, to me, is 100% in.
Oh, he's got to be in. He also won a Players' Championship, by the way, which isn't nothing.
It isn't, but I'm not sure how to judge it.
He's been the leader of the International President's Cup team since practically its inception.
Well,
and he's going to end up being a captain.
If you're going to throw that in the mix there, that would change judgment of both Bernhard and Colin.
No, because we're talking about since 97. Bernhard's impact on the Ryder Cup was probably mostly felt before 97.
Yeah, that'd be true for him.
I mean, it was felt, but it was before. So Adam Scott has 13 wins on the tour, and he's got 10 wins on the European Tour. So he's got 23 wins and a major.
Minus the major, so it'd be 22.
No, I took the major out already.
Oh, you did?
So it's 23 and a major.
23 and 1.
Yeah.
And now it comes down to that question of how do you judge? Because we were at the highest, we were looking at Justin Thomas with 15 wins and 2 majors, and again, a player, so I'm going to net that out because they both have the same. 15 wins and 2 majors against 23 wins and 1 major. And again, if you use the criteria of 8, add 8 to Thomas's 15, you're at 23 and 2. No, it would be 23 and 1 would be equivalent. They'd have the exact same. That's why this is so difficult.
I know. Number 9, where are we in the list, Andrew? Number 10 or number 9? We're trying to get the last
10.
spot.
Yeah.
We're talking about the last spot. Let me ask you a question. We're talking about performance.
Yeah.
Since 97.
Yeah.
Like all-round performance. Would you say that at their very, very best, since 1997, when they were at their best golf in that window of time, was Justin Thomas, Adam Scott, or Bernhard Langer better? Who was the best golfer in that time when they were at their best? Performance on course. I think I would probably say Justin Thomas.
Another
when
name.
You were at
I would tend to agree with you on that, but let me throw just another name because you didn't say this one. Retief Goosen. He won 7 times on the PGA Tour. 2 of those 7 were majors, so it nets him down to 5. He won 14 times on the European Tour. I don't know what the net is of those 14 because I'm assuming that those 14 include counting at least those majors. So we already know that he has 5.
He has 12. He has 12 others, but another one happened before 97, so it'd be 11.
11 plus 5.
Yeah.
Which would be 16.
So
which would be 16.
I don't think he's on the list.
And he's won 2 majors, Dom. I don't think you can have recency bias. He won the U.S. Open in 2001 and in 2004. And by the criteria that we just laid out, he has more wins than Justin Thomas.
Yeah, but do you think when he was playing at his best, he was better than Justin?
Now you're going to get into a gray area, but I'm going to throw this gray area at you.
Why is it gray area? We're talking about performance inside the ropes.
Yeah, but listen to me. There's mitigating things against that. He won 2 major championships, one of them in the exact same year that Tiger finished off the Tiger Slam, and he won in 2004. He won these events when Tiger was at the absolute peak of his game. Does that count? Should that be taken into consideration? So he's performing at the same time. You've already got Ernie Els on the list at number 6. He's performing and winning at a time when you have Tiger Woods, Phil Mickelson, Vijay Singh, Ernie Els, and Padraig Harrington, for that matter, all with traffic in front of them. 6 guys of 9 that we have named were directly up against this guy that we're saying has a better overall win record in the exact same majors as Justin Thomas. What are the people saying? I'd like to know what their opinion is on this.
The percentages are tightening. 20% VJ, 29% Rory. I know we're past these numbers, but these names was interesting. 29% Brooks, 29% Rory, 20% VJ, 23% right in. The more we discuss it, the more gray area it becomes. I'm thinking JT. Only because of after 97 and that criteria, I think it's got to be JT. Another person writes. This is a conversation you need to have in a pub in Ireland. David writes.
Which we have.
Yeah, I'm sure.
This is the kind of stuff I was talking
either
to
use
Carney about.
points or make it subjective. They don't mix. I'm not saying it's subjective to talk. We're talking about inside the ropes performance, which includes points and wins, however you want to define that. So I don't know. It's interesting.
There is subjectivity going on here because we're taking wins from other tours and giving them a percentage of what they represent to a PGA Tour or a major. There's definitely formulas being created here on the fly. But I would say that number 10 should be Retief Goosen.
Okay. Let's settle it then. We've been doing this for an hour and a half. We'll settle it there. That's our top 10. Andrew, fill it in. Retief Goosen. There you go. That's our top 10. That's a strong list of golfers, Matt.
Yeah. Now, what's
Final
interesting
question
about
of the
that?
day. Go ahead.
How many of those names are current players and currently in the mix? I'm not talking about like Phil, who's playing. I'm talking about guys that are currently playing, currently winning. Rory, Brooks, Jordan, arguably 3, and then it's a question whether you include DJ or not because he's been off the boil for a while.
Yeah, I would probably say no to that, to DJ. So you're talking about Rory, Brooks, and Spieth. And Spieth he's still quite young and still in the running for that. He's really been struggling quite a bit for actually quite a while.
He was, but he's playing he's still playing under the exemption of being a winner. So that would qualify him of being amongst a winner.
So there's only 3 guys there.
Well, wait a minute. DJ won in Boston. When did he win in Boston on Live? Was that last year?
Yeah, he's won. I think he's won a couple times on Live.
Well, then he'd be on the list. I'd throw him on the list. He's winning where he's playing.
He's hit his 40s now. He's 40 years old, Matt. I don't think I would include.
All right,
DJ.
let me put it this way. You look up DJ for me, and I'll ask you a simple question for this criteria. Has he won in the last year? Let's say that.
Yes, on Live.
Okay. Then I'd include him in that.
But in the majors this year, tied 31, 43rd, and 2 missed cuts. Missed the cut at the Open last year. Tied 55th at the PGA last year. Tied 48th at the Masters. I mean, I don't know if off the boil is the right term, but like, he's 40 years old now.
I do feel like this year
we know
he's
he took
off the
that
boil,
pile of money. He went to Live. I mean, I'm not going to say he's disconnected, but I think it's fair to say that he's taken a step back. He's not trying to compete at a crazy level like Rory is still trying to do.
No, but he's not as high up on the list as Rory, or so I wouldn't compare him. I'm not saying that those players are all of equal weight. I'm just saying of the list that we have, how many of them are current active players that are still winning, and we just define winning as within the last year.
Okay, so it's those 4 guys.
It's 4 of the 10, which is interesting that 6 of the 10.
Let me ask you a question.
Yep.
Do you think if we bust this list out 10 more years, we'll finish on this, add 10 more years, the next 10 years to this list.
Yep.
What's the one name,
Bryson.
the one name you will guarantee jumps onto this list 10 years
Bryson.
from now? It's Bryson.
To me, it's Bryson.
Really?
Yeah.
You don't think it's Scotty Scheffler? You don't think it's Xander Schauffele? Shuffle.
I don't know how to
So
say
you
his
don't think
name
it's
now.
Xander? You don't think it's Scheffler? You don't think Justin Thomas could win a few more majors? You think it's Bryson? That's an interesting.
I think Bryson has the ability to win majors in bunches. And I do believe that the PGA
That's
Tour,
interesting.
the PGA Tour and PIF are going to come together. And I'm not going to give you a source on it yet because I'm not ready to. But I just was going through some really interesting information from people that feel like they're going to ultimately come together, and ultimately they're going to make it possible for players to play in their otherwise off weeks. So that would mean that Bryson would be back playing against the rest of the players on the PGA Tour. And the way courses are set up on the PGA Tour, by and large, that the rough is not, it's not all events, bear in mind, just some of them, I would say the majority of them, that the rough is playable. So the old bomb and gouge. So I think his win total is going to increase. Total. And I think his major championships have the capacity and the ability to do the same. And it does. And if you ask me about where, I would say, okay, show me the list of majors over the course of the next 10 years, and I'd give you my opinion of whether I think he can compete there. I never thought he could compete. Like when we were talking about favorites, you and I never talked about him as a favorite at Royal Troon. Because if you were wayward at Royal Troon, you were done. And he was wayward. He is wayward. But if you can get away with hitting it in the rough and then wedging it out to your target, then he's very much in play. So I would put right now my
That's
instinct
interesting.
is
I never
is
would have
Bryson.
thought you would have said Bryson DeChambeau. That's really interesting.
You would have thought what? I'd say Scheffel.
I know it's
Shuffle?
recency bias, but I think you would have said Xander or Scotty would have been my guess. I think it comes down to Morikawa, Justin Thomas, John Rahm, Scotty Scheffler, Bryson DeChambeau, and Xander Schauffele.